The floor is yours. Thank you very much for being here. I would like to salute all my professors and colleagues here, first of all. And of course, I'm going to try to explain to you in a very simple way. So, what kind of the future of AI research in psychiatry from challenges to solutions is the title of my presentation. So, I'm going to try to explain fast as possible. So, there are some challenges in psychiatric sciences. There are challenges of artificial intelligence and research and psychiatry challenges related to clinical applicability, explainable AI, problems of generative AI, data security, and SNS networks. These are the titles that I'm going to try to explain. When we talk about the computational neuroscience, in fact, it is the foundation of artificial intelligence studies is based on computational neuroscience studies. But however, the psychiatry and artificial intelligence studies are somewhat behind other medical fields. So the psychiatric data has non-parametric nature. So this is why. Can you actually help me from there? Okay, thank you. So psychiatry, when we look at the relationship, so this is a symbiotic relationship between psychiatry and artificial intelligence. So deep learning, the XO problem, V loop, and this is actually has origins in psychiatry science. So it actually came into the scene in 1960s. The hypothesis says that the information is recorded in the core and it is preserved. So
modeli değiştiriliyor. O şekilde kullanılıyor ve çok son
And it was used in that way and yielded very successful results. Here, the neural brain, it is related to neural brain, but the integration of the artificial intelligence efforts to these brain solutions. So it has a symbiotic relationship. Psychiatry and artificial intelligence has close relationship. Here are the methods. They include scientific method and semantics. And scientific method includes empiricism and rationalism, and semantics includes hermeneutics. It means generating meaning, especially after 1965. The human being has been stopped being considered just as a mice. It is a creature beyond that. And psychiatry is the science of understanding a human being. And this is the word of the human pilots. So something is either observational, experimental, or computable. If it is neither, then to hell. So certain experiences should be calculated. So when we look to the psychiatry, challenge of conducting experiments on being with subjectivity, the multitude of influencing factors is another challenge, and also there is difficulty in repeatability, and finally, the abstract nature of concepts stands as another difficulty. And this is a journal published in 2015, and the largest replication studies were made in that year. The difficulty of studying conscious beings, we can talk about it. For example, formerly, they were conducting studies about the quantum theory. When they sent photons, it was in the shape of waves. But when they put an inspector or monitoring mechanism there, they noticed that the photon turned into a granule structure. It was as if the photon knew it was being followed and monitored. Interestingly, the quantum mechanism is closely similar to the psychology. It reveals how complex the psychology and science of psychiatry is. And so, what is the most difficult activity that the brain does? It is to try to understand another brain. To understand the brain, we need to produce more effective machine. If to understand the brain, to reach to the deepest, darkest parts of the brain, do we need to create a machine that is similar to the brain? That is a very intriguing question. And what are the challenges in terms of the artificial intelligence? Of course, research-related challenges and clinical challenges exist. What does artificial intelligence mean? It means the algorithm. The healthier the data is, the more reliable results will conclude the artificial intelligence. If out of the sample, if the sample that we generate do not represent the population, the result will be bad, and the insufficient data equals trash result, and therefore the origin of the data, the distribution features, and the representative capacity for the whole demography are very critical, and they should be reliable to achieve a reliable result. So nature of variables, they are independent from the variable, and the neural networks, all of them run in calculatable, measurable variables. But in psychiatry, these variables are categorical, maybe cannot be calculated at all times. So this is another great difficulty. And the main problem in psychiatry is that although it's started at the same period with the other fields of medicine, it grew on a more slower pace. And we also have comorbidity problems, single anxiety, single depression, and non-existence of a single personality disorder. And most of the time, the psychological problems coexist with the other diseases, and also spectrum characteristics of mental illnesses were revealed. And accordingly, during the learning process, the the patient, it is very difficult to distinguish the patients. So there is a patient with bizarre depression, mild depression, and normal depression. So I should escalate to mild depression to achieve a clearer result. And the second shows how the symptomatology intervenes also. So diagnoses related to the psychiatrical diseases are put according to the following factors. And secondly, to summarize, artificial intelligence is an algorithm which balances, equalizes the cluster of variables and the cluster of outputs. It means the non-parametric nature of the data, and it is related to the nature of the outcomes achieved. So let's assume that I solved the comorbidity problem. The more specific patient I select, the more difficult it will be to achieve effective result. And also regarding the spectrum characteristics, it is difficult to select the patients at the end of the spectrum. So how can we overcome the data restriction or deficiency. We should collect all of our data, and also not only the whole entirety of the depression, you should concentrate on one part of the depression, such as sleep disorder, etc. You can calculate the symptoms. And so, here is the great intelligence model. Uh, so, let's measure the attention deficiency, development level, emotional situation, the fluctuation of ideas and content of thoughts, and skills of motor coordination, etc. Another important point is to measure the severity of the symptoms. The artificial intelligence is providing black or white result, but I need to measure the severity of the attention deficiency. For now, Max function gives the cluster, uh, and but this is currently not enough. This system need more algorithmic values data, and as the accuracy level of the artificial intelligence increases, it is less explainable. So, for explainable AI, we need more research. We need to the black box model. So, explainable artificial intelligence. Let's talk about the trained AI model. Taking this and feeding this with the virtual data and observing the changes between the outputs obtained and evaluating the findings again. And let's say that this model is based on observing the certain vitamin deficiency and sleep disorder, etc. So, if you concentrate on a specific disorder, you will get more reliable data. You feed it with the virtual data on a constant basis, and you will achieve better, reliable results. AI, if it is explainable, it eliminates certain restrictions. Another problem is that in Turkey, we are talking about AI doing, having so-called ability to do psychotherapy. This is very problematic in Turkey because there is all the parameters are coded with a vector, and so, what happens, for example, when we ask this, let's say that this is the vector P and vector A is included in the onset of the AI. So, this, for example, I tried something. I asked, could you give me the prescription of a cookie, but there is a cookie with tomato sauce, for example. There is no such thing. This is nonsense. But I asked this to the AI, but it gave me it just gave me the explanation. There's an ethical problem. You can't test the information. Yes, it can give you information, but the information that it gives you doesn't have any reality in the real world. So, what is the data security? This is the second problem. None of the AI will keep in mind the variables. For example, when the man state, what did he do in the night? It doesn't keep in its memory the other relevant information, personal information. This is a very reliable method. This system cannot be hacked at all. But how it will store the information that it gathers? For example, let's in Turkey, as you know, human beings tend to keep their psychological problems secret. They don't tend to go to the psychologist easily. Another problem is to model the human behaviors. Neurosymbolic AI, this is a new working area with deal. It's the combination of the symbol.
gösteriyor. Devam edebilir miyiz? Belki görmüşsünüz haberlerde vefat etmiş bir yakın tekrar geri getir.
Maybe you have seen
Şimdi bu ne için?
in the news, for instance, there are some people that have lost some relatives. And we can actually talk about the simulating minds. So we can actually come up with repetitive scientific researches in order to actually administer the process better and in order to come up with individualistic treatments. Something that I did already. Here you can see the healthy kids that I have. I had some lacking information about the kids, so I used artificial intelligence to come up to complete the data. There's a professor of mine who likes these cartoons a lot, so what is repeated is the opinion or the thinking person, thinking individual. So this is actually very exciting. When I was talking to my own professor, of course, so and the networks. Machine learning algorithms are good, but for applicability in clinic is low because there's a lot of preliminary work that needs to be done. So the soft scores need to be prepared and so on. Before treating my patient, I have to go through all these phases. So patient's individualistic existence presence is sufficient, but there needs to be a system that needs to be installed and also a rapid control mechanism needs to be put in place. So these SNN networks, just like in the biological cells, works on the action principle. For instance, these are the spark neuron networks have a certain information cluster, and then there's the firing. So
Yapılan bir sistemi
a system, an algorithm with very expensive GPUs can be done through this approach in a less expensive way. So usage of this process of this system in psychiatry will be developed in the future. So the artificial intelligence will be developing together with the patients, and digital intelligence will be the result of that comes to us. So we are talking about models, but they are static models. So for the development of those static systems, we cannot contribute much into that. I can use it for a patient, but I cannot use it for the healing modeling. We cannot do the healing modeling. So these SNS networks do it better with regards to the modeling. So let's go to this other slide. For the research issue, of course, solution to data limitations is a major problems, and we have to have data transformation techniques, not diagnosis, but symptom-based classifications is important. We have to come up with algorithms providing linear outcomes, and we have to have a layered artificial intelligence models. So this can be a layered models, and we can give us better results. With regards to clinical applicability issues, there is the high performance computers, which are expensive, not suitable for everyone. So algorithms that require less computational power is important in that sense. SNS networks in that sense is important. So the generative AI problems are there also. Too early for psychotherapy. We can say that because there's the technology needs that needs to be advanced, and for the simulating diseases also the AI coexists with humans. So these SNN networks, the neuromorphic chips, are important in that sense to make it better. So I would like to thank you,
dijital
especially with regards to the digital intelligence of my professor when I was digitalizing it. This was an exciting feeling. So the kid asks, do you think that this statute is thinking or is imitating that it is thinking? So what is the thing that is imitating? Is it the opinion or the person, the individual that is thinking? So thank you very much.